Well, maybe I think we can probably go ahead and get started. I just wanted to start by welcoming you all to Abundant Connections. We truly hope that this is a week where we're actively bridging the gap between buyers and producers, and that Abundant Connections creates a space to do just that. So to get started, I would love to introduce you guys to your presenters. My name is Sarah Iden. I'm a local food coordinator with Abundant Montana. I am based in Missoula, and I'm the local food coordinator for the western part of the state. We also have Drew Shanafelt, the director of Abundant Montana, and Aubrey Roth, Montana Farm to School coordinator with Montana Team Nutrition. And not on this screen, but with us is also Sammy, the assistant director of Abundant Montana. If you've talked about communications, I'm sure you've connected with Sammy as well. So yeah, we just want to welcome you and get to know who all is here. So for those of you who haven't, if you guys want to go ahead and put in the chat a little bit about yourselves, where you're from. I see a lot of you guys have done that, and you guys are coming from across the state. Recognize a lot of your names, which is really exciting. I also just want to share a little bit about who is participating in Abundant Connections. We have over 50 producers and about 50 buyers, so over 100 food and farm businesses from all over the state, which is super exciting. Really excited to have you guys here with us, supporting Montana food and farm businesses and working to make connections with each other. So we have restaurants and food trucks as buyers from all over the state, retail stores who are sourcing local foods to stock their shelves. We have food banks, Whitefish Food Bank, one in Missoula, one in Hardin, a food pantry in Bozeman that are part of Abundant Connections. We have over 17 schools that are present, representing 17 counties or districts across the state that are all seeking to source and procure local food for their cafeterias, which is super exciting, as well as some early child care education sites also wanting to source local food. And as far as producers go, want to highlight a state resource in the directory. Montana No Kid Hungry is offering funding to support producer distribution throughout the state. So if that's a need of yours, check them out. We have the Northwest Food Hub offering anything available from the Western Montana Growers Co-op. We have grain producers, gluten-free producers, pork, lamb, over 30 beef producers that are present in our directory, 20 vegetable producers, and then we have some value-added producers as well: bone broth, spiced nuts, cheeses, galettes, dumplings, compost. We have honey. So anything that you might want to source locally is represented in our producer directory, and just about anyone who might want to source locally is also present in our buyers directory. So we're really excited and truly hope that these connections are fruitful and lead to supporting you all specifically and our Montana food economy more generally. So without you guys, this event is irrelevant. So we're super glad to have you guys here. I do want to introduce who is hosting this event. This is hosted by Abundant Montana and Montana Farm to School. So I want to start by sharing a little bit about Abundant Montana. So Abundant Montana is we're focused on growing the demand for local food by being Montana's local food megaphone. So our goal is getting Montana grown food to Montanans. So you all are focusing on growing, producing, distributing, procuring, using local food, and we are focused on growing the demand for it to support your businesses. And we do this in two ways. One, by engaging consumers and educating them about local food. So we see the intentional engagement leads to more consumers knowing their producers and buying local foods, and therefore increasing the demand for local foods. And then secondly, by creating a network of robust food and farm businesses by providing you all with affordable marketing and technical assistance services to increase revenue and sales. And the success of Abundant Montana revolves around our Find Food and Farm map being well populated and accurate. And this is really where the work of our local food coordinators comes into play in an effort to support a healthy regional food system. So we have 6 local food coordinators spread across the state. And the intention of having local food coordinators as a boots on the ground representative allows each one of us to identify specific needs and gaps in the community. And by knowing the gaps, we can help connect all the different parts of the food system and hopefully support you all as business owners. So for example, doing this by supporting business to business connections for local procurement, which was the motivation behind Abundant Connections. So local food coordinators are your contact and your advocate across the state. And then this is a map or an image of our map, of our Find Food and Farms map. And this is kind of the culmination of a lot of our work. And this is where our map stands now. We have over 1,000 listers, so 1,000 food and farm businesses listed, and over 75 partners. And I'll talk about that in a minute, the difference. But this is a searchable database. So for example, I live in Lolo, and if I search in the search bar organic produce within 15 miles of me, I would see Carlton Creek Organic, which is one of our attendees, among other listers, as a place where I can go to find local organic produce. And so it helps me as a consumer know where to find your products. And this is one of our main tools to educate consumers where to buy and to support local food and farm businesses. Another tool of ours is the local food guide, and I kind of consider this our flagship educational tool in a way. It is an annual free educational resource for consumers. It's spread throughout the state and includes anyone listed in our database has their name included in our local food guide. Highlighted partner listings, it includes stories from the Montana food system, it includes recipes, food access information, farmers market guide. It's kind of your one-stop place for anything Montana food related is in our local food guide. But apart from being just an educational tool for consumers, the local food guide serves as a marketing tool for our listers and our partners to increase their visibility or y'all's visibility to potential customers. And so I've mentioned this idea of listers and partners. Listing is always free with Abundant Montana, puts you on our map, in our Find Food and Farm map. And anyone listed has the opportunity to upgrade to become a partner with Abundant Montana. And this is a subscription, yearly subscription that allows you to access certain benefits. And some of those benefits of becoming a partner with Abundant Montana would include showing up first at it within any search on our Find Food and Farm map. So for example, if I'm searching for pork in Lake County, I would see Abraxas Farm, another one of our participants with Abundant Connections, listed first and foremost, followed by anyone else who has just a standard listing. So as a consumer, I am kind of more apt to go to that first listing that I see. So it helps increase your visibility. In our local food guide, partners receive more informative listing. They also receive access to a suite of affordable marketing services with Abundant Montana. And finally, you're investing in Abundant Montana's vision of a nourished and food secure Montana. So I mentioned these media and marketing services. So those affordable services offered to partners include social media packages. So Abundant Montana's communication team can put together social media marketing packages and send those out through our network and our social media channels, kind of doing that heavy lifting so that you don't have to. We also specialize in business to business connections and outreach. In our local food guide, partners can have tons of different ways and opportunities to elevate their visibility in our local food guide, from advertisements to advertorials and kind of anywhere in between. And then finally, we also offer marketing and technical assistance services from kind of a team of experts that can specialize and help you with social media audit and strategy planning, SEO audits and strategy planning, email marketing, logo design, e-commerce setup, website design, anything that would make your business more visible and work to increase sales and revenue. We're here to help you with. So that's a little bit about who we are as Abundant Montana. We're so glad you're here, and more than anything, our goal is to increase the demand for local food and strengthen the Montana food economy by uplifting, connecting, and supporting you all. So I'd encourage any of you who are not included in the Find Food and Farm map to work with your local food coordinator to create a free listing to help us better represent you all and better represent the Montana food system. So with that, I'll pass it off to Aubrey, and she'll tell us a little bit more about Montana Farm to School.
Thanks, Sarah. Hello, everyone. I'm Aubrey Roth. I'm the Montana Farm to School coordinator and co-director of Montana Team Nutrition Program. Montana Team Nutrition Program is housed at Montana State University and works with the Office of Public Instruction's school nutrition programs. Montana Farm to School is a collaboration between Montana Office of Public Instruction, Montana Team Nutrition Program, MSU, and many other partners. Our work is driven by the Montana Farm to School leadership team and includes such projects as Montana Harvest of the Month, Montana Crunch Time, Farm to School Month, and many others. We also provide and partner on numerous trainings and events, including the Montana Farm to School Producer Training, Montana Food for Schools, a local procurement training, and Abundant Connections Producer and School Meetup, Harvest of the Month workshops, and many others. We are proud to collaborate with Abundant Montana for this innovative event, and we hope it helps connect food producers with schools and beyond. This event is in part supported by a 2021 USDA Farm to School grant that was received by the Office of Public Instruction. Next, in case you're unfamiliar with the term farm to school, let's define it. Farm to School empowers children and their families to make informed food choices while strengthening the local economy and contributing to vibrant communities. Farm to School implementation differs by location, but always includes one or more of the core elements that are pictured here. Procurement. Local foods are purchased, promoted, and served in the cafeteria or as a snack or taste test. Education. Students participate in education activities related to agriculture, food, health, and nutrition, and then school gardens, or as I say, school gardens and farms. Students engage in hands-on learning through gardening and raising their food. So a couple examples of how this works out in Montana communities. Local procurement, as shown here by this delicious lunch in Livingston, may be implemented by featuring many different local foods and ingredients in special meals, and then featuring many local foods throughout the year individually. There are opportunities for many sizes of food producers to get involved, and even small operations can provide product for taste testing, special events, and salad bars. Now is an especially great time for schools to buy local foods. Montana schools received over $6 million in supply chain assistance funding in 2022, with the most recent disbursement in late December, and there will be local food for schools grants available to Montana schools soon. Also, Montana Office of Public Instruction is purchasing local foods that will be distributed to all Montana schools. They purchased dried cherries, supported the Montana marinara production, and are finalizing solicitation for beef and lentils, with more solicitations on the way. So again, a great time to jump in. Next. School gardens can look something like Hinsdale's School Garden, which is featured here, that boasts an in-ground and raised beds, an orchard, passive solar greenhouse, and root cellar. The students learn about many topics in the garden, conduct experiments, and eat delicious produce in their school meals, thanks to their committed teacher, Patty Armbrister, and her team. Other schools have greenhouses, grow towers, aquaponic systems, and others. Really, the sky's the limit for creativity on how to get kids involved in growing and raising their food. Next. The education element includes food, nutrition, and agriculture-based education. This education piece can include farm field trips, farmers or ranchers in the classroom, cooking demonstrations, and many others. Here you see a screenshot of students at Polson School District who produced a field to plate virtual field trip as part of their Harvest of the Month activities. They interviewed and filmed area ranches and processors to create this fun fact-filled video. Next. Farm to School programs can provide many benefits, and those benefits will depend on how the program is incorporated into the school and community. And of course, which of those 3 core elements are implemented, and hopefully all of them are. Check out the National Farm to School Network's benefits fact sheet for a summary of the research behind Farm to School. Next. We have so many fantastic trainings and events coming up starting in March. So get ready to dig into more Farm to School. I don't have time to go into them now, but please check out the Montana Farm to School training and events page, which I'll put in the chat box momentarily for more information. A couple of these events will be posted and the registration will be open later this week. So there'll be opportunities to get involved. Also, please use the Montana Farm to School website for resources, and then check out our social media accounts on both Instagram and Facebook for upcoming events and funding opportunities. And as always, reach out if you have questions. I'm here to help you and support your farm to school endeavors. So that's it from me. I'll pass it to Drew.
All right, so this is a video you all should have received in your intro email explaining the process of signing up for an Abundant Connections meetup. I'm going to play the video and then we'll have some time for questions, I think.
And welcome to Abundant Connections. We're so excited that you are participating. Your engagement is what will make this event fruitful. We're very fortunate to have a variety of producers and buyers represented. We have over 50 buyers and 55 producers registered. First step, well, this is a video demonstrating the process of, as a buyer, I will pretend to be Drew's Restaurant. I want to buy some local food and make a connection with a local producer. The first step is going to the producer directory. There's a link to the producer directory in the welcome and logistics email you received. You can also go to our website, abundantmontana.com, and go to the Abundant Connections event page. It's linked on our homepage. If you scroll down, there are 2 links, one to the producer directory and one to the buyer directory. So as a buyer, as Drew's Restaurant, I am going to the producer directory. I'm going to peruse this directory and find the producer that I want to make a connection with. In this case, we'll choose Abundant Farm because I want salad mix and I'm in the Flathead Valley. So click this schedule a meeting link. There's an intermediate page. Click this form.jotform.com link and it will take you to the page where you set up a meeting with the producer. So I've already gone ahead and scheduled a meeting, but I'll demonstrate the process. You'll select the time slot. You'll input your email, your name, and your business name. You'll click submit, and it's easy as that. Since next part doesn't happen immediately, Abundant Montana, we at Abundant Montana have to go and create the meeting manually and invite both you, the buyer, or me in this case, Drew's Restaurant, as well as the producer. So expect that within a few hours of hitting submit here. But eventually you will receive an email that will come from office@abundantmontana.com. The title of the event is Drew's Restaurant, that's me, the buyer, and Abundant Farm, the producer that I set up the meeting with, dash Abundant Connections. This event is from 8 to 8:30 a.m. on Monday, February 13th. I have said yes, I am attending. And this email will go to you as the buyer, or me in this case, as Drew's Restaurant. It will go to me as well as the producer. So here you'll see the producer's phone number and email, and the producer will receive this event email as well, and they will have your email there. So that is how you set up a meeting with a producer for our Abundant Connections event. Don't forget, Monday, February 13th at 3 p.m., we have a kickoff event. It is linked in our Abundant Connections event page here. You can click this link and use this passcode listed to enter the Zoom webinar, and there's no pre-registration needed. If you have any questions, also in the event page, there's a frequently asked questions section. So feel free to look through that. We may have already answered the question that you have. Otherwise, please send an email to office@abundantmontana.com with your question, and we will get to it as soon as possible. And again, thank you for participating in Abundant Connections.
Awesome. That was the instructional video on how to set up a meeting. I don't know if there's anything else that we need to touch on, Sarah, Aubrey, before we go to questions.
I think that's all. Thank you, Drew. Aubrey, do you want to let us know the different ways that we can move into a question time and how we can ask some questions?
You bet. So we have two different options for you for asking questions today. You can use the chat box. So in your chat box, you should see a little chat box icon. You can click on that if it's not already open off to the side. And then make sure you have selected everyone, and you can type your question into there. Everybody will see your question in there, and then we'll answer it aloud and or via the chat box. You can also choose to unmute and ask your question verbally by raising your hand. So you'll see a little icon that looks like a little raised hand. You can click on that, and then I'll see that. And once we have acknowledged you, we can give you the permission to unmute so you can ask your question.
Okay, it looks like Shauna asked a question. Really excited. You guys have had a few meetings already today. So said that 2 producers didn't get an email but saw the meeting on their calendar, and another that didn't attend the meeting but also didn't accept the request. I'm curious if meeting invite emails are going to producers. We've sent some follow-up emails to remaining producers, but an FYI that they might not all be seeing the invites. You should all be receiving an email invite from office@Abundant Montana with the Google Meeting in it. At this point, I think, Drew, correct me if I'm wrong, we have sent out all emails for all meetings that have been scheduled at this point. So maybe we can follow up specifically, Drew, with some producers to make sure you guys are actually receiving those emails. You all should be, check your spam folder if you're not seeing them, would be my first response to that, but you all should be getting those emails. Is there anything you'd like to add, Drew?
Yeah, and I guess, yeah, check spam with Google, with Gmail, that categorizes, if you have it set up, it categorizes emails and might not put it in the primary inbox is the only other suggestion. But yeah, it should, when we tested out, both parties received the emails and should be getting that one.
All right, we have another question in the chat. I'm gonna put this out for our panelists. Do you all know where I could send freshly harvested berries to a large refrigeration operation in or near the Flathead?
I'd have to look into it more, but I'm sure there's someone. So we'll have to look at, yeah, we'll get back to you, David.
I think Mission West Community Development Partners has a commercial kitchen. I think there's some storage. Yeah, Jan Tusick would be the one to talk to, or the folks at yeah, Mission West Community Development Partners. They're in Ronan.
Montana Berry Growers Association might also be a good resource for that information. They might have already have answers to that, have people sending stuff there.
All right, Shanna, I see that you're still not seeing meeting invites from Office at Abundant Montana, but they're in your calendar. Drew and I will try to figure out why that's happening and follow up. Thank you for letting us know. You were kind of the first one to test out the system, so thank you so much for your patience.
Shauna,
Pete,
can
yes,
you hold on one sec? Can you tell me which event specifically, like a date and a time? You didn't receive the invite. Maybe I can follow up with her separately.
Sounds good. Let's see. Pete, you asked if you can make a change to the listing in the directory. Of course, nothing is set in stone. So please, if there's any updates that you would like to your listing in the directory, send an email to office@abundantmontana.com. Sammy, do you mind popping that in the chat? And if you could put the subject line like Abundant Connections edit or something like that, just so we like know what it is and we can do it really easily and really quickly. Graham, you said that as a producer reaching out to buyers, it was helpful to include a link to your specific calendar in the email to buyers for their convenience. Thank you for doing that. If that feels like an easy way to go, I think that's a great option as well. Any other questions regarding how to set up a meeting? Any issues you're having? Anything like that? So David, you asked how you get listed again on the directory. Are you talking about, for clarity, the Abundant Connections directory or on the Abundant Montana directory? I'm guessing you're talking about, because you would be included right now in the Abundant Connections directory. If you're talking about being listed as a lister with Abundant Montana, the local food coordinator in your region should be reaching out to you if you're not listed. but you can also just send an email to office@Abundant Montana, and we will make sure we forward that to the appropriate local food coordinator, and we will tell you all the steps on how to get listed. It is super easy. Sammy put down the website where you can do that online yourself in the chat box. And it is fairly self-explanatory, but we are happy to pass it along to somebody else to help you with that process as well. All right, I think we have somebody with a hand raised, Aubrey.
Yes, we have Logan Manick. So I'm going to go ahead and you should be able to unmute now, Logan.
Yeah, thanks. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, my question is just about, we don't have any invites for meeting yet, but I was wondering if what the best way to show up is in terms of, we're in Helmville, we're not in anybody's area really. We're probably 60 miles away from the closest populated area. Just wondering if we show up or how to show up for places that we might deliver to or have pickup locations at, that kind of thing.
Do you want me to take this one?
Yeah, go for it, Drew.
So Logan, you're asking about getting meetings on the books within Abundant Connections. Is that your question?
Yeah, and just if there is, should I be reaching out to people because we might not show up, if they're looking for producers around the Flathead, we might not show up because we're a ways away, but we do drive a delivery route there every month, that kind of thing. Just wondering if there's making sure we can show up for people in that area, even if we're in Helmville.
Yeah, so if it's not clear and maybe people aren't recognizing you as a producer that would be able to deliver to them, feel free to reach out, go to the buyers directory, and the buyers all have contact information and preferred ways to be contacted. You can look through that and identify folks that you'd like to set up meetings with and reach out to them directly as well.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Yeah.
That is a great point. That I do just want to mention that while we did separate the directory by region just for convenience, because there are so many participants, it doesn't mean that that buyer or that producer is confined to that region. And so that's why we included distribution locations. So kind of for both parties to be aware of, that is also that's also at play. And like Drew said, even though it is the buyers who are scheduling the meetings with the producers, we do want to make sure we are encouraging producers. If there's a buyer that feels like it's a good fit for you, please reach out to them and invite them to schedule a meeting with you. You are more than free to do that as well. I would just want to end by thanking you guys so much for being here. We're really excited to host Abundant Connections, and like Drew mentioned in the video, without your participation, this event is irrelevant. So want to provide just a few quick next steps. Please continue to schedule meetings. Buyers, you can access the calendar and schedule meetings all throughout the week. We will make sure we are following up with Shauna and anyone else who might be having trouble receiving those emails, but you can continue scheduling those meetings throughout the week. Like I said, producers, please feel free to reach out to buyers and invite them to schedule a meeting with you if it feels relevant and appropriate to you. Keep an eye out for an email later this week that will include a survey. As Aubrey mentioned, this is possible through some grant funding, so we would really appreciate it if you took just a few minutes to provide any feedback, what went well, how to improve moving forward. This is the first time we're doing it in this format, and love to hear your feedback. We'll be having a closing event Friday at 2. If you can make it, we'd love to have you all join us for a quick wrap up. And as always, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out by sending an email to office@Abundant Montana with Abundant Connections somewhere in the subject line. And we are going to be monitoring that throughout the week. So we'll be able to get back to you in a very timely manner. Unless anyone else has anything else to add, we're really glad that you're here and hope that this week is really fruitful, and look forward to hearing some stories.